Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Toilets to Titles Draft Review for the 2022 class. Today, we are reviewing safety. This is me, Joe, your favorite guy here at Toilets to Titles, at least one of them. And I got as a very special guest, Coach Sheps, who's been doing some of the breakdowns with me. John, how's it going, buddy?
Man, I feel great. I'm ready to talk safeties. We talked wide receivers. So my two favorite positions to scout, wide receivers and safeties. Running backs are fun, but
Yeah.
I feel like running backs. Every running back can look good given the system. You know what I mean? So I like
Oh,
watching the
yeah.
wide receivers. I like watching the safeties. So I'm happy to
Yeah.
be here with you, man.
Yeah, especially if you're a running back who gets drafted by the 49ers, you're gonna be looking you're gonna be looking good on the field no matter who you are,
Yep.
and no matter where you're drafted from, any school.
Yep.
But all right, yeah. So listen, let's dive into the safety review. It says down here the yellow bar, my yellow bar, top 10. It's going to be 11. We have an honorable mention there. John and I had a little disagreement at the end. I like my Leon O'Neal Jr. had to squeeze in there, and he had a little Nick Cross he had to get in there too. So we're going to have an honorable mention. So we're giving you an extra one. There's actually 11 here. But before we dive into the content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Give us a 5-star Apple review. Why, you might ask? Because we deserve it. Where you can follow the show: Apple Podcast, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Facebook. We're all over the place. Facebook, we have two pages: Toilets to Titles and When a Family Breaks, which is our Facebook page dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. Uh, you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to learn how you can further support the show. And our website, our very own website, toiletsandtitles.com, is all of our videos, articles on. Got tons of fantasy, NFL, NCAA football, and draft content. Check it out. We've got like 15 members here at Toilets and Titles now, maybe more. I'm always losing count because we're always adding
Yeah.
people.
Uh-huh.
But but everyone brings what they bring their own thing. Many of us
Yep.
do videos, many do articles. Some of us do both. So we've got plenty to check out there. And John, you ready to dive in?
Man, I am. I'm ready to rock
and
and roll.
and and John and I are both really, really big fans of the safety position on defense. And John, I think we both admire the versatility that this position requires to
Oh
be
yeah.
a really true, well-rounded safety. And that's why the consensus number one safety in this class, I think, is fair to say, is Kyle Hamilton. Now, if I were going to a zoo, I'd ask people at the zoo to direct me to the unicorns, and I'm sure I'd see Kyle Hamilton in there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, because Isaiah
go
in
ahead.
in the in the in the college zoo of unicorns, they
Hmm.
got rid of one a few years ago, and his name was Isaiah Simmons.
Yep.
He moved on to the professional zoo of unicorns, and Kyle Hamilton, he's in that mold, man. He's 6'4", 219 pounds. So you don't really see, you got a guy like Jaron Curse who played for the
Hmm.
Cowboys this year, very long, but you just don't see that very often.
Yeah.
And so he's got size, man. He's definitely a unicorn. He's very versatile. He's a long rangy player. He covers a lot of ground. He's got a knack for the impact play. And
Yeah.
what I like about him is the eye discipline.
Hmm.
He's very so somebody that big and that athletic, you could see somebody like that revert to instinct and
Hmm.
be more instinctual and be a little more sloppy as far as, doing the discipline stuff. But he plays discipline for a guy who's got all the natural ability. So when you put that stuff together, it really helps him. He's smart. And one thing that worries me a little bit is his frame. He's a
Hmm.
little light, and I see him get swallowed up a little bit in the run game. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Joe.
No, no. You know what? I was just the only point I was going to add to that is that because he's tall. I mean, he's 219 pounds, which is actually big for a safety. Like 220 pounds is big for a safety. A lot
Right.
of safeties tend to be like, 210, maybe 205 pounds, 212, something like that. He's 219 pounds, but he's 6'4".
Right.
So this dude is long. So I wouldn't say he's light,
He's
but
like his lower
he's,
half is light. Like you can
yeah,
see it in his legs.
yeah.
He's got a lean lower body.
He doesn't look like Landon Collins below the
No,
waist.
no,
Yeah,
no.
he's not built like a linebacker below the waist. But this guy, like you were saying, he is special. He's the way I see it with Kyle Hamilton, and he's a rare safety that a team could actually build a defense around depending upon their scheme. So I see him as a really special player. Um, and man, this guy, in my opinion, is, and it's not a stretch to say this, he's a top 10 talent in this very, very deep draft class of 2022.
Yeah, I want to
But
emphasize again, he doesn't just rely on natural gifts. Like, you have in your notes, he's a good tackler. Like
mhm,
he stays balanced at the point of contact. He's aggressive. He comes downhill, but he knows when to break down and clean up. He doesn't
yeah,
overshoot a lot because you'll see that from a deep safety. If your deep safety is too aggressive and he overshoots and he gives the running back the angle, bye
yeah,
bye. It hurts the whole
yeah,
defense. And he never
yeah,
puts himself out of position and hurts the defense.
yeah.
He
He's
makes
so
good plays and he's willing to pop. Like there was a play against
yeah,
Purdue against David Bell where he had a
uh-huh,
huge hit, man, and that was a big game for them. He had a big clean hit versus David Bell over the middle, laid his body out. So
yeah.
he's not just a finesse guy. Like he does it all. He's a little bit of everything, and I think that's why teams love him.
Yeah, you have to. And this guy is, he's out of Notre Dame, so he is smart and he is high character. Those are usually the type of players, besides being good football players, they're usually smart and high character
I
guys
like
coming out of.
Alohi Gilman. You remember him? I like Alohi
No.
Gilman. So he went to Notre Dame. He was a safety. He's in the
Mhm.
NFL. I think he's with the Chargers now. So
Okay.
he's not a starter, but he's a guy I was watching at Notre Dame, and I
Yeah.
thought actually he was going to be a star. But then this cat came up and
Yeah.
completely like this is a whole different level of star.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's like supernova.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually what you get coming out of the Jesuit program. Smart, high character at the very least. But this guy's got so much more on top of that, which you know, I think a lot of times these days, you and I are disappointed in like it seems like the NFL doesn't value safeties as much anymore because you can tell by where they're being drafted
Right.
each year. It's usually kind of like further and further back in the
It's like the
first
running
round.
back of the defense.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. It's like further and further back in the first round where they're getting drafted. But this guy, I think, is going to go top 10. I'd be shocked if he dropped out of the top 10. Anyway, let's move this along. Daxton Hill. I love that name too, Daxton Hill out of Michigan. Daxton Hill, listen, I think everyone who follows college football, everyone saw how good of a year Michigan obviously had this year, especially their defense. And Michigan's going to have a lot of guys going in the first round this year. Everyone's familiar with Aiden Hutchinson. That's a household name in college football. David Ajabo is another one. They're pass rushers. That's what they're known for. Daxton Hill was another big reason why this defense was one of the best in the country, probably only just behind Georgia, I think, or maybe Alabama as well. But Daxton Hill, 6 foot, 192 pounds, not huge, but again, you look like compared to Kyle Hamilton, who was 219 pounds, he's 192. This guy's 192 pounds. I love this guy. In my opinion, if Hamilton weren't in this draft class, Daxton Hill would be the clear number one safety taken off the board. What I have for this guy is he's got elite explosiveness. This guy explodes. He's fun to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch.
oh yeah.
Yeah, he's fast. He plays fast. He pursues really well. Good speed to pursue, and he's capable. He's good in coverage. He sticks to receivers, but he also plays the run well. He's a good all-around safety. Very good instincts too. Kind of like up there with, I wouldn't say anyone's really up there with Kyle Hamilton, but he's up there. He's comparable. And like I said, if it weren't for Kyle Hamilton, Daxton Hill would be my number one. John, go ahead.
He's got a quick trigger. Like
Mm,
when he makes a decision, it happens quick and it happens explosively. Everything he does. So I like Daxton Hill too. And he's probably going to go somewhere between the 20 and 30 range. And someone's going to love him there because he can cover.
Dallas.
Yeah, maybe. Very
Yeah.
very possibly. He's one of the guys on my short
Mm,
list. There's about
yeah.
four guys I'd like there, and he's one of them. And so this is a chess piece.
Hmm.
Whereas Kyle Hamilton, you're putting him deep. He's your deep safety, and he's going to man that. This guy, you're going to
Hmm.
have another safety who's going to be your more, your I guess fixed position, and then
Hmm.
you're going to rotate around. You're going to play him everywhere. You're going to play him
Yeah.
down the slot. You're going to blitz him off the edge. He's very good off the edge, man.
Yeah. He's
Like
versatile.
and he's got lineage. His brother is Justice Hill, who plays for the Baltimore Ravens right now.
Yeah.
So he's got
Hmm.
an NFL family.
Running back, right? Justice
Yeah,
Hill.
yeah,
Yeah.
out of Oklahoma State, and
Hmm.
I just when he hits, like you said, he's so explosive through contact. I mean, he had 69 total tackles this year, 4.5 tackles for loss, two
Hmm.
interceptions, 8 pass deflections. He's all over the field. I love his quick twitch. He's good at sitting in the zone, kind of moving off of one cat, moving on, like watching the quarterback's eyes. So he,
Yeah.
he does everything you want in a safety, and I think you know I think someone's going to fall in love with him, and he's going to start day one. Like he's a
Yeah.
first rounder. He's going to start day one. He's going to be a good to great player on any defense.
Yeah, I think, and I agree with you. I'd be very surprised, and it's possible because it happened with Xavier McKinley a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Xavier McKinney, and where he surprisingly dropped out of the first into the second. It could happen with Daxton Hill, given how deep this class is, but I'd still be surprised.
Well,
And I
given,
do.
I think it's deep. It's just not top heavy. Like this
Mhm,
class outside, there's probably like maybe 10 to 12 blue
mhm,
chips. And then
yeah,
it's really, like we said in the last time we were getting, what's your flavor? There's probably like 30 to 40 guys that
mhm,
might go in the first round after that first 10. So there's, 50 guys
yeah,
aren't going in the first round. So it
yep,
just depends on team need. We were
yeah,
talking about Linderbaum. Linderbaum, talent wise, I don't want to
right,
get too far off topic. Talent wise, he's a first rounder, but he might
yep,
not go in the first round because of some size concerns, and also
yeah,
because who needs a
and scheme
center
fit,
from 20 to 30?
yep,
There or 20 to 32. Who needs a center? So it's also scheme fit. So it'll be interesting. I think he goes in the first round, but someone might get lucky if he falls to day
yeah,
two. You're going to hear all those tweets, and you're going to see all those tweets, and Mel Kiper's going to be saying, there's a lot of buzz about somebody trading up, the top of
yeah,
the second round. I'm hearing it's about Daxton Hill, or so it's
yeah.
very possible.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to
Look
watching
at Trayvon
Daxton Hill.
Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, he fell to the second round.
Should have been a
It does
first round.
happen.
Should
Yeah.
have been a first round pick there. Should have been. But Daxton Hill, I'm so looking forward to watching him play in the NFL. He was a pleasure to watch this year in college. Okay, next guy, Jalen Pitre, out of Baylor, 6 foot, 197 pounds. This guy is an excellent. He's what I have in my notes from what I've seen, what I read. Excellent box safety. He's one of my favorites in this class. He plays the run well. I mean, a really good safety, you're playing in the secondary. You have to have some coverage ability. I like box safeties. There's definitely a place for them, but a real top-notch safety, you got to be able to play, be somewhat effective against in coverage. Again, you're coming out of the secondary. So, but he is an excellent box safety. There is a good place for that. But he also, he's an effective blitzer, so he plays well in the box. He's good against the run. The guy's an effective blitzer. He's not big, but he can hit hard. He's athletic. He's explosive in pursuit, and he's aggressive and processes plays quickly. I'm not a huge fan normally out of talent coming out of Baylor, to be honest with you, but I do like Pitre a lot, and I had him as my third safety in this class. John, what do you got?
So he had 18 and a half tackles for loss this year.
Hmm.
That's, for a safety, that's very impressive.
He gets behind that line.
He was a consensus All-American,
Hmm.
and he was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. So,
Hmm.
there's like he's got the hardware, but from what we saw on film, a
Hmm.
lot of it is him coming downhill. He does a
Yeah,
good job knifing through, finding the open window, making the tackle. He's got bad intentions. He brings
yeah,
the hammer. But what was huge for him, he was probably like maybe a third round prospect prior to the Senior Bowl. But
hmm,
after the Senior Bowl, they forced him to cover one-on-one. And a
yeah,
lot of teams, if you can go back and watch clips, so a lot of teams, a lot of scouts, they finally got to see him, and he handled himself at the
yeah,
Senior Bowl. He handled himself in one-on-ones, and he made himself some money. He's no longer a third or fourth round guy. This guy's going in the top half of the second round. It's happening.
yeah.
He's not falling past pick 20 in
Oh,
the second round.
I think he's a second round talent too. So he
Yeah,
made I really wasn't aware. I knew of some players that really boosted their stock at the Senior Bowl. I
he's
wasn't
one
aware
of
that
them.
Pitre. Yeah, I know Zion Johnson was definitely another player guard who people really took. I mean, he was probably projected to go in the second round. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to the back end of the first round now.
Mhm.
He was a guard who took like some snaps at center position.
Boston
Apparently,
College, right?
yeah, and apparently Boston. I like Boston College offensive linemen. They
Yeah,
they tend to produce. They're like kind of like another offensive line university,
right.
and I wouldn't be surprised if that guy goes. Wouldn't be surprised if he's on Dallas's short list
It's
there, back
possible.
into the
Green,
first
Kenny
round.
Green. I do want to say
Yeah.
though, again, before we move on from Petrie, closing speed is
Hmm.
probably his biggest thing, and that's another thing he showed in coverage. So he closes on the back very quickly, obviously with 18.5 tackles for loss, his closing speed, but he also, staying floating over the top of his receivers and then breaking on the football. He's very quick to break on the football. He does a very good job. So this guy is day one impact player.
Yep, I agree. And moving on to the next player, this is someone who I actually have neck and neck with Pitre, and that's Jaquan Brisker, Penn State. And you know what?
He was supposed to be at the Senior Bowl, and he backed out last minute.
Yeah, man. You know what? I don't think that necessarily hurts him. The guy
it doesn't, but now it helped Pitre, so it might,
right.
it might move Brisker back a little bit, like whereas Brisker might have gone ahead of Pitre.
It might lose out on a few extra $100,000. But I love this guy. I am biased in favor of. I'm biased against Baylor talent. I'm biased in favor of Penn State talent.
Now I am too, man. I'm there too.
Yeah, John's a big time Cowboys fan, and he, so he's a big time Cowboys fan. He's got his awesome linebacker. Penn State's been producing some really superior talent for the NFL recently, and I think Jaquan Brisker is going to be another one of those dudes. Penn State has another boatload of talent coming into the NFL this year in the draft. Jaquan Brisker is one of them. He's going to be one of their first picks taken off the board. 6'1", 204 pounds. This guy has great awareness. He's got a nice combination of size, speed, and burst. He can cover anywhere. And the guy covers ground quickly. He explodes towards the ball, and he's a heavy hitter. He brings the boom. And he's good enough in coverage to cover tight ends, and he's a physical player too. To me, he's a nice, well-rounded safety.
Yeah.
And I'd feel really comfortable taking this guy, putting him in my secondary, and not really. I see him as like a 3-down safety, and I wouldn't bat an eye on this guy. I love me some Jaquan Brisker, but I'd say at this point he's probably a second-round talent, and that's not any shade against thrown at him. It's just given the depth of this draft class, probably second round. What do you got on Brisker?
I agree. He's a former JUCO transfer, so he went to school, developed, continued his progression, then went to Penn State and stood out. All right, so he shows that's adversity, fighting through it, and then he believed in himself, and that ended up paying off. He's versatile. He can line up. So this is a guy that I don't think it necessarily matters your scheme. You're going to like Jaquan Brisker. You're going to figure out a place to play him. Good coaches do that, but this guy, he can play deep middle. He can cover in the slot. He can come off the edge. He's a very good tackler. He's a physical player. He's got range. I think he's going to be good. I think so. Whereas Pitre moved up at the Senior Bowl, I think Brisker is going to gain that back at the combine. He's very agile. He's very explosive. So the jumps are going to be good. The 3-cone drill, the 5-10-5, the pro agility drill. So this guy, he's got range, sideline to sideline. He's a leader of that defense. And there's a lot of alphas on that defense, a lot of alphas. Yeah. And he's been around alphas. And, the fact that he was leading. And, I watched his against Wisconsin. There was like 2 minutes left. And it was a, big game for Penn State. And I think Penn State was up by 6. So Wisconsin was 10 yards from the end zone. And he comes up with like 2 minutes left with a big interception, kind of floating. He's playing in like the middle, floating, reading the quarterback's eyes, jumps the route, picks it off. So big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games, and he's shown he could do that. So he's a playmaker, man.
He's fun to watch, Brisker. And you know what? I think he's another player. I think he'd look really good next to playing behind Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
He'd look really good. I'm telling you.
You're just trying to butter me up, man. All this Cowboys talk.
Listen. I do think Dallas is walking away from this draft class somewhere within the first 3 rounds. I think with the safety, they're definitely getting some offensive line help. But I do think they're going to walk away with somewhere within the first 3 rounds.
Maybe Nakobe Dean, man. Maybe we Leighton Vander Esch is out the door. We might have Nakobe. Yeah, he's gone.
Is he? Oh, I didn't know. Well, then
he's a free agent.
That's a linebacker. I give Dallas the props. One thing they've always focused on, at least for a long time, is offensive line. Another spot's been linebacker. So as someone, I'm a Giants fan. We're always linebacker deficient. I get jealous about that.
We took Jabril Cox from LSU. So he tore his ACL, so people forget about him. But,
I love that pick too.
So maybe they won't, but I think, you never know.
Yeah. Well, he's a different type of linebacker too, but he's
range.
He's a good.
Good
I
coverage
like that guy. Yeah, I like Cox a lot too. That LSU is still producing talent, man.
Yeah, man.
And here's
Another
guy.
JUCO transfer, or not JUCO.
Yeah.
He came from North Dakota State, but same.
Okay. Yeah, say almost the same thing
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Now here's another guy, Lewis Cine, Georgia, 6'1", 200 pounds. This guy is like 1, 2, 3, 4. He's the fifth guy on the list. And I'm like, man, I do think this is a really deep safety class. And normally I think this guy would be, like the second or third safety, in most draft classes. But he's like the fifth. And this guy is really good. He's kind of easy to forget about because it's such a good draft class. This dude's a violent, what I've got in my notes, violent downhill hitter. He excels at the run game. This guy's more of a box safety. And like I said earlier, listen, in my opinion, to be a real safety, the first trait you bring is got to be in the coverage game. But don't get me wrong, there's a place for box safeties too. This guy is an excellent, excellent, excellent box safety. But he's not bad in the pass game either. And I do think he's got the athleticism to improve there in the NFL. He closes very fast. He's a smart guy. This is a guy here, the list past year, the number one defense in college football, Georgia, one of the top defenses anyway, under Kirby Smart. Such a good head coach. He was directing his teammates on the field, so I love to see that. He's a smart player, leadership ability, and he's good enough in coverage where he's actually been able to play some slot as well. So, but the first thing that screams off when you're watching Lewis Cine is his effectiveness in the run game. But compared to some of the other guys we covered already, who are probably better at in pass coverage than the box, Lewis Cine, the first thing that pops off the tape is this guy's ability in the run game. Coach.
So, not to start with a knock, but his tackling, he concerns me. He's a little high, continually high, and he can get away with that at college because he is stronger than most of the players he's hitting. But when you get to the NFL, you got to bring it down a little bit. You got to be a little more disciplined there. But now, that's the only discipline knock I have because he is a very disciplined player. Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin are watching this guy's film and they're licking their chops because this guy is assignment driven and he is perfect for one of those two defenses. I mean, the entire AFC North is probably licking their chops because this guy, I could see him playing in Baltimore. I could see him playing in Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Like he just fits that cold playoff style mentality of hard nose, lunch pail. I think those guys are going to love him. I know Bill Belichick, he sees a guy like Lewis. He plays so disciplined. He is so disciplined. He is assignment driven. But like you said, he can flip his hips well. He's not just a contact guy. I see him flip his hips and run with wide receivers. So he could do it all. And some coach is going to be very happy, landing this cat.
Oh yeah, it's funny. You mentioned it first, and actually Baltimore does come to mind when I think of Lewis Cine. Yeah, but I do
or
like
Tomlin, man. Pittsburgh.
Yep. Hard hitting safeties. Yeah, they like that. They're
and discipline though. He doesn't just pull the trigger and explode and like he makes the play. Like he assesses, he reacts, and he does his job. Like he's never out of position.
Yep. Oh yeah. No. I like him a lot. And like I said, if he didn't have players like exceptional players like Kyle Hamilton and Daxton Hill in this draft, he'd be even higher.
Right.
I could see he might be dropping. He might slip to the third round.
Yeah,
Lewis.
Possible.
I'll tell you, you walk away with Lewis Cine in the third round. Be happy. I don't care who your team is. Be happy.
He's a champion.
He's going to be seriously.
He's a big piece of a championship defense.
Oh, yep, a huge piece of that defense. And there were so many. God, you're going to have. Jesus, you're going to have a lot of players coming off that defense in this class, like in the first 3 rounds, especially, but even like the 5th round too. Impressive.
But at value, they're probably all going to be at value too. Like it's a lot of them. None of them are really like the premier players in this draft. So no one's really going to have to reach for those guys. I don't think at least.
Well, no, I agree with you. They're really stout on the line. At the interior, like they don't have like Aiden Hutchinson,
right?
But they're like well stocked everywhere else. Yeah. All right, Bryan Cook. Here's one of your guys, Bryan Cook. And there were 2 players, actually 3 players. I didn't have time to put my own notes in. Bryan Cook, Cincinnati Bearcats. There's still some. I'm going to be honest with the viewers. There's still some dispute as to whether or not a Bearcat is a real thing. I'm going to roll with it as if it is. But Bryan Cook, Cincinnati Bearcat, 6'1", 210 pounds. Coach, what can you tell the viewers about Bryan Cook?
So he had 96 total
Cincinnati
tackles. Yeah.
and Cincinnati had a very good defense in college this year too.
They
Go
did.
ahead.
They did.
Mhm,
So they're going to have a corner who goes, in the top 10 picks, probably top 15. But he had
mhm,
96 total tackles. He's an enforcer type player. But, Cincinnati, they relied on him a lot to man the middle portion of the defense. So they played him deep middle a lot. He was reading and reacting.
mhm.
He's good there. But I kind of think he was played out of position. I would have loved to seen him more in the box and just been an aggressive player. Let him be the aggressor. So I think at the next level, he is best suited closer to the line of scrimmage and given an opportunity to just attack,
Yeah.
because that's when this guy plays his best football. When he's hitting, he's driving through ball carriers. He leads with his head down a little bit, so I'd like to see him raise his eyes up and see contact. Because again, in the NFL, guys are going to make you miss. In the college, you could be sloppy. But in the NFL, that ain't happening. Sometimes I
Mhm.
question his change of direction in zone coverage. He seems like he's floating a little bit too much. He's a little flat-footed, and again, that's space. I want to take him out of the space. I want to put him down at the box. He's very strong at the point of attack. I've seen him with offensive linemen pulling, trying to
Mhm.
get in this dude's way, and he is he is fighting through that contact, like punching that lineman in the mouth, getting through and making the tackle. So like a linebacker. So this guy's strong as hell. He's an absolute force. He's
Uh,
an ideal run defender. But they kind of forced him. And he didn't look uncomfortable there. He can play the deep safety. He can cover, but I think he's better suited in the box. So there is versatility
yeah.
there, but I think a team will be better suited, bringing him downhill more often.
Yeah, that sounds like the place for him is more the box, but he is a good athlete. 210 pounds, 6 foot
Mhm.
one. That's nice
He
size.
carries it well. Like I said,
Yeah.
you watch some of his film, and he's linemen. They think they're getting out there. They're getting a skilled guy. They're going to eat him up. Not this cat, man. You
Yeah.
better bring it if you're bringing it to him.
Yeah, Cincinnati's got they've got some really good defensive players coming in this draft. I think you were alluding to Ahmad Gardner before. Is that the cornerback?
Sauce, yeah, yep.
Yep, yeah, coming out. He's the cornerback coming. Definitely going first round talent cornerback coming out of Cincinnati. I like me some Darian Beavers as well, linebacker. And you got Bryan Cook here, safety. Cincinnati, some good talent. And these guys, names like this, are a big reason why Cincinnati made it to the Final Four this year. All right, Kerby Joseph, next guy, nice player, 6'1", 190 pounds out of Illinois. I actually like Illinois products as well. John, take it away on Kerby Joseph.
I think he's probably the best pure coverage safety in this class. So
Hmm.
he was number 3 in the NCAA with 5 interceptions. I don't know if you remember watching Juan Thornhill when he came out, but I see a lot
No.
of Juan Thornhill in
Hmm.
Kerby Joseph. He's got some size at 6'1", 190 pounds. He's got long arms, 33 and a quarter. And, they showed he's another guy at the Senior Bowl who helped his stock a lot.
Yeah.
He's got range. He had the highest coverage grade among Big Ten safeties since 2020, which is 90.7. I saw that on PFF. Great ball
Damn.
skills. Go ahead.
Hmm. No,
You
I was
said,
just saying, damn, that's impressive.
yeah. And again, those 5 interceptions was the fifth most in the NCAA. But he's not just a coverage guy. Like he's willing to throw his body in there. So I mean, if you want a guy like Kyle Hamilton, a rangy guy to play your deep safety, and you can't get him because you're not top 10, you could wait till the third. And I know this guy ain't going to be Kyle Hamilton, but you're going to be
Hmm.
able to put him in at that deep safety. He's got the
Nice
range.
value.
He's got a knack for the ball. 57 total tackles, so he gets in there as well. 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 2 pass defense. So this guy, he's a playmaker, and he's got range. He's long, and he's got a role in the NFL for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I like the sound of him too. And he's going to be, I could see this guy going in like third, maybe fourth round. You're going to get some good value there. Oh, you know what? Let's move along. I know you need to split soon. Okay. Is it Markquese or
Marquis
Marquise?
Bell. So this is
Marquise
when you were
Bell.
saying I threw Nick Cross in my
Hmm.
top 10. It's probably
Uh,
Marquis Bell who I threw in my top 10 that pushed everyone back. So Marquis Bell
okay.
is a player
Gotcha.
out of Florida A&M. I moved him up, but he's a redshirt senior. He's 6'3", 205. And I don't want to talk about the Cowboys too much, but he reminds me of Jaron Curse. He's
Hmm.
long, man. He's long.
Hmm.
So similar to Kyle Hamilton, but this guy's a more physical, so he's not as rangy, ball hockey, but man, I think he's going to show out at the combine first off, and that's when people are really going to start to notice him. In high school, he had a 7-foot high jump, so this dude
Damn.
is an athletic. I love his open field tackling ability. He just seems to always be around the football. I think day one, he's going to come in and he's going to be good on special teams. And then, you're going to be able to put him in on defense, and you're not going to have to worry about him. He makes tackles. He makes plays. And, he avoids blocks in the open field. For a big guy, sometimes that's hard, but he does a good job of doing that. And he also stays in good position. So it just, when I watch this film, he was always around the football, always making plays and, always making tackles. So I think Marquis Bell is going to be a contributor somewhere. I don't think he's going to be a star, but I think if you're missing a piece on defense, he's going to come in. Exactly. Remember, like Talanoa Hufanga last year at USC. I loved him. I loved him.
You talking about him.
And he's just always around the football, man. And now he's in San Francisco. Yeah, and he's not like he's not Fred Warner. He's not Tyrann Mathieu. Like he's not
Everyone needs depth.
But he's there, man. And I think in the playoffs, he had a big interception for them, Hufanga, that sent them to the NFC Championship game. So you need guys like that. Marquis Bell, he's going to come in and he's going to help a defense. I don't know how many snaps he's going to play a game, but you put him in 25 snaps a game, he's going to make plays.
Yeah, I like the sound of him. And honestly, I wasn't familiar with him before you sent me your list of names, so I had to look into him.
Yeah, he's the guy that snuck in there.
Yeah, Verone McKinley. I like the sound of this guy. He's on the smaller side. He's 5'11", 195. This guy's free safety. He's got the size of kind of like a bit of an undersized cornerback.
Jordan Whitehead, or he's like Whitehead, who plays in Tampa.
Yeah,
is that his name?
I think it is Whitehead. Go ahead, Google.
No, I'll look him up. Yeah,
this guy's got free safety written all over him. This guy's fast. He plays fast too. He is nice. He's like athletic. He's got a little athletic freakiness to him as well. He's like, his athleticism really sticks out. Really, really good instincts. You had said before that I think maybe it's Kerby Joseph. You think maybe the best pure coverage safety. You know more about Kerby Joseph and McKinley than I do. McKinley sounds really, really nice in coverage, and he's got excellent instincts. Very good in coverage.
He led the NCAA in interceptions this past year with 6. So
yeah, and he's got the ball tracking skills and the ball hawking skills too. As I said down here, tracks the ball well, sticks with receivers, but he's got the ability to play the run too. This guy's he's not a box safety, but he can play the run as well, and he's a willing tackler. Anything to add to Verone McKinley?
So I think if you're trying to get Daxton Hill, out of Michigan, and you can't, and you wait till like the 4th round, you want someone similar, but he's not as much of an impact player in the run game, but the quick twitch, the versatility, that's Verone McKinley. And he had 11 interceptions since 2019, which is the most by any Power 5 player. Started as a freshman at Oregon. He's got experience. So this guy, he's a high IQ player. He's another guy who's a contributor. Like, someone's going to be happy to get him wherever they get him. He's going to contribute on a defense, right away.
Yeah, no, I like him. I like the sound of him. And like I said, this is such a deep safety class. I think normally this guy would be going earlier. I think his size is a little bit of a concern. I think he does have like cornerback size and kind of like smaller cornerback size, but the guy's proven he can play safety in college. Had a really high level free safety, and he's gonna be someone to
and he started as a freshman, so he's a smaller guy, but he was playing with but he was playing with the big boys right away. He didn't have to grow into that frame. Like, he was ready to go.
Yeah,
so
Verone McKinley.
That says
like
something.
The name too.
Oh yeah.
All right, here's one of my personal favorites, and I insisted that he get thrown into the back of the top 10 list. Leon O'Neal Jr. This guy brings some boom. He's out of Texas A&M. This guy's a heavy hitter. 6 foot, 211 pounds. This guy's solid. As I say here in my yellow bar, heavy hitter. He lays big hits on running backs and quarterbacks. This guy can penetrate. He can get through the line to penetrate, blowing up running plays, and he can effectively disrupt the quarterback. He gets to the quarterback too. He lays some big hits there, but he's effective at disrupting pass plays as well. This guy, he's able to do that because he flies through the gaps, disrupting plays early on. He's a good tackler, and he flashes, again, this guy is really a box safety, but he flashes some ability to cover, but this guy's a box safety. And there is a place for box safeties. I certainly wouldn't put him like, top 5, 6, 7, but I do love me some Leon O'Neal Jr. I think he's just an excellent box safety, and I had to put him here at the back of this list. Anything you wanted to add before we moved on to Nick Cross?
It just sounds to me similar. So these both guys sound like they're going to contribute on special teams right away.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
Physical
sure.
guys, athletes, get downhill. I mean, in Texas A&M, that's a big program. So he was playing
Yep.
against alphas and contributing against big cats. I mean, like look at Donovan Wilson was a name who
Hmm.
no one really was talking about him coming into the draft. 3 years ago, and but
Hmm.
went to a big school in the SEC, played enforcer role, and now he's coming. He played. He's got a role in Dallas. So I've seen you see it happen all the time. Guys who play at big schools have the athletic profile, willing to get their nose in there. They come in and contribute at the NFL. And that's so Nick Cross, he doesn't go to, Maryland's a big program, but obviously it's not the SEC. But
Tarps.
he's a former 4-star recruit. He was a
Hmm.
track standout in high school, ran
Yeah.
track for Maryland as a freshman. He had 66 tackles this past year, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions. So that
Mm.
shows versatility. So he's in the box making plays. He's just a very aggressive player. He's physical, brings the
Yeah.
wood. I don't know if I mentioned his height, 6'1", 215 pounds. So this is a guy
Yeah.
who,
Nice
you know, he,
size.
he's
Solid.
built for the NFL. He's got
Yeah.
the size, and he's going to come in and special teams. So, how do you make a team if you're a borderline starter? You make a team by contributing on special teams, and I
Yeah.
think this
Rookie
guy's
year,
going to do
definitely.
that. And
Yeah.
and then he's going to learn a scheme. He's going to come in. He's going to find a role.
Hey, man, the Tarps, they contribute to NFL players as well.
Yeah,
It's nothing
Vernon
against
Davis,
Maryland.
right?
Yeah. Hey, was it Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, true.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at some
Uh-huh.
superior talent, but they
Anthony
get.
McFarland, running back. I thought he was going to do well, but sorry.
Yeah. Hey, listen, not everyone's a champion,
That's
but
true. You can't all be.
that's right. Can't all be Stephon Diggs. But that wraps up the safety review. It was awesome doing that. It's one of my favorite positions to. It's one of my favorite positions to review because it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite positions in the NFL, in football, in all of football. Um, Before we go, Twitter handles for me and all my mates here at Toilets and Titles. John, I know have to get out of here. It's 8:29. So
Coach
listen, don't
Sheps
worry
has to
about it.
go coach.
He's got to go coach. That's why we
Yeah.
call him coach. He's at Coach Chefs. And don't worry, listen, just do 75 miles an hour in the 25
Yes.
mile an hour zone. Make sure you're talking on the phone
Yeah.
while you're driving to let everyone know you're going to be late.
Yeah. And
And
we're both dads, so this is great this is great fatherly advice. Yeah,
yeah,
go
absolutely.
set-
Just don't tell anyone. Just don't get
yeah.
caught, but do what you got to do.
Right.
That's all.
Respect.
Absolutely.
All right.
Everyone, take care. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. I'm going to load this up to YouTube in a little bit.
All right. Thanks for having me, Joe. Everybody take care. Enjoy the
All
NFL
right,
draft. Enjoy the
John.
combine.
Yeah, all right, man. Listen, we'll be doing another video soon, John and I.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care, man.
All right. So long.
Bye.